Yo, 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 what is good? It's your boy B Moore, joined by my co-host Rustin Stewart, and this is the From New York to the Shop podcast. Russ, what is good, bro?
What up, man? How you doing, dog?
I'm chilling, man. I'm excited about this show. We have actor, writer, director Carmen Corral joining the show later on. So I am so excited about that. And I'm excited about the response that we got from last week's show. Russ, what about you?
Definitely excited about last week's show. I'm excited about this week's show. You know, we have been having some pretty amazing guests on the show these last few weeks. And, you know, I'm just excited to keep this ball rolling. A lot of amazing feedback from the Spicy interview. A lot of women that I know reached out to me and told me how useful the information that she gave during that interview. And, you know, like I said, just trying to make people better. And a lot of women have reached out to me and said, like, how do we get this to the men that need to hear it? And I was like, well, you got to share it. You got to tell them about the interview.
Yeah.
Tell them about the show.
It was an eye-opening interview, and we thank her so much for the knowledge, the jewels of knowledge and the wisdom that she dropped. It was absolutely one of our best shows. The response that we have been getting from that show it's almost kind of overwhelming. You know, the YouTube views and the people listening on the podcast platforms. She came on the show and she did her thing. And one of the biggest things that I'm getting from people is that she knew her stuff, Russ. Like, this wasn't just someone who's been in a relationship before who came on and was winging it. Like, she knew what she was talking about, and you could feel that in the information she gave.
Right, definitely. Mariella, who called in to the show, my friend, she said that, you know, she's kind of dealt with dating coaches and relationship experts in the past, and, you know, it was like this drawn out plan on how to find this person or things to do in your relationship. And she told me that she really enjoyed Spicy's take because it came out of a love, you know, arena where it was more about love, more about loving yourself and knowing yourself. And then once you start working on yourself, you can find that person.
Absolutely. And we're going to recap that show with Spicy Marty in a little bit. But Russ, Scottie Pippen was in the news earlier this week. So I want to talk about that for a little bit.
All right, let's talk about it.
Monday, Scottie Pippen was on the Dan Patrick Show, and he was promoting his new Digits bourbon. And he was asked about comments he made in GQ magazine. Saying that Phil Jackson, he drew up the play for Tony Kukoc for the last shot in the Bulls' second round playoff series against the Knicks in 1994. And he said that was racially motivated. Have you heard any of these comments that Scottie Pippen made, Russ?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about those comments. I think that Scottie Pippen is trying to sell his book that's coming out in the fall. And I feel like he's trying to sell that bourbon that he just came out with. So, you know, people are going to respond, or people are going to respond to like negative energy sometimes and stuff that happened in the past. So I think that he's just maybe going back down old memories of something that will pop. You know, I don't have any feelings on Phil Jackson, and I don't know the man, if he's a racist or whatnot, but there have been some things that Phil Jackson has done in his life and career that, you know, him writing a book and throwing Kobe Bryant under the bus, you know, so that says a lot.
Now, I have a direct quote from Phil. So this is Dan Patrick. Dan Patrick said, "By saying it was a racial move, then you're calling Phil Jackson a racist." Pippen said, "I don't have a problem with that." Dan Patrick said, "So do you think Phil was?" And Pippen says, "Oh, yeah." So he kind of doubled down on that. And then he went on to say that Jordan made a selfish decision when he embarked on a baseball career after the Bulls had won their 3 championships. I quote, he said, "Yeah, it was a big decision, but it was a selfish decision. But it was kind of who Michael Jordan was." That was a guy who believed he can do anything on his own. So, in my opinion, it seems like Scotty is like, he seems not bitter, but he seems kind of disgruntled. You know, I feel like he's kind of fed up for all of the years of him not really being given the props that he probably deserves. You know, I feel like instead of people talking about how great Scottie Pippen was, you know, this is one of the best basketball players of all time. I feel like he's just known as Michael Jordan's Robin to Mike being the Batman. You know, he's known as this sidekick instead of really giving his props. And I feel like he's fed up. You know, that's what I'm getting from this. So, I agree with you. Scotty has a book coming out. I think this has really got it. If you weren't interested in that book by now, I think all of the stuff that you're hearing, I feel like we are really gonna be interested in hearing what's in that book. You know, because he's been going in on social media and in these interviews.
He's been going in, and he's also talked about, you know, Doc Rivers ruining Ben Simmons' career, you know, by benching him. So he's definitely seems like he's had something to say about everything.
And before we bring Miss Carmen Corral back on the show, I just want to get back to the Spicy Marty interview. You know, I will say I agreed with like 99% of what she said. The only thing I have a little bit pause on is the sharing the password.
It's sharing that password, B. Come on,
I'm not gonna be able to do it.
I'm
not gonna be able to do it.
Spicy, we love you over here from New York to the side, but that password sharing, and let me get it. Let me tell the people, right? Because I know women are like, oh, what you hiding? What you got going on? I just feel like some things just don't need to be shared. That's all.
Right. And here's my take on it. Every conversation that's in my phone is not about me. It's not about me, Russ. Like, I have friends. Like, what if you could be going through a situation with your girlfriend, with your significant other, with with your family, and those could be conversations and text message exchanges that are personal on your end that you are telling me, and it doesn't even really have anything to do with me at that point. It's about the other person who's on the other end. It's about their personal conversation and their privacy as well. You know what I'm saying?
But Spicy touched on that, right? I mean, you also have to trust your partner not to just go through your phone snooping, right? Like how she said, she knows that her husband has a group of friends and they on a thread and they share information. Like, you also got to trust to know that she's not going in there and looking at those messages,
but
right?
Spicy Marty is in a very healthy relationship. We're talking about people who are seeking out dating, advice and dating coaches. We're talking about the average to below average relationship that is not in that place that we aspire to. So if you are in a relationship with someone who, that relationship, still has some, let's say, area of opportunity, in order to get better, that can be dangerous. For you to say, I have access to this person's password, but I'm going to exercise maximum restraint.
I think that comes with a long period of time of knowing that person, though, B. Of course, you're not going to get in a relationship and then give the passwords up. I think that comes after you really know that your partner will not violate your privacy like that,
Right.
So...
Right. And speaking of this, we have a phone call, so we kind of want to get to our phone call. We have Masai from Philly. So Masai, thanks for checking in, bro.
Philly.
And we got a Philly caller, man. Philly in the building. So
I hope it's not an angry call, because Philly, they kind of disappointed in the playoffs.
I listened to the call. I think Masai sounds pretty chill. He sounds like a pretty smooth brother. So
cool, because those Philly fans.
Let's check it out.
Yo, B, this show with Spicy was like right up my alley, man. She hit on like all of these topics that me and my lady, we've been together, me and my lady been together for 8 years now. All these topics that we be dealing with on a regular basis. But like the co-host, I think it's Russ, he brought up that question about the passwords and access and stuff. And I don't know if he was asking it because he wasn't with it, but I ain't with it either. And I don't really, and I ain't being hypocritical about it. Like, I don't have a desire to want my lady's passwords or access to anything of hers like that. So that's why I don't really understand why anybody would want to have their partner's information like that. Like, it doesn't seem like transparency is one thing, but like, I just feel like you need to be able to maintain like a sense of individuality in a relationship. Like, yeah, you are like one, but like, that doesn't mean that you just have to lose any sense of like privacy or individuality just because you're in a relationship. And the thing that made my lady, for example, interested in me is who I was as a person. So like, if you just continue to keep changing and just open yourself up and just morphing yourself into not just your individual self, but just like a role player in a relationship, then like, who are you? Like, you kind of like lose the thing or the essence of who you were that your girl fell in love with in the first place. So like, it's like they want this certain kind of thing, and then when they find it, eventually they just keep chipping away until you don't even recognize yourself no more, and they probably don't even want you after that, after you just change so much into what they think that they want you to be. But I don't know, man, it's just hard because the girls be feeling like they want the spicy, but they also want the security. And it's like, I don't know how you can like do, I'm not saying I don't know how you can do both, but the thing that makes you who you are is what brought the girl to your front door in the first place. And I just think it's important to maintain some of that without, giving up everything for the sake of the relationship. I just think it needs to be a lot more compromising and respect from women at times, because, it's science, man. Like, God's gonna have to be guys to a certain degree, because, it's science, man. Like, God's gonna have to be guys to a certain degree, because, it's science, man. Like, God's gonna have to be guys to a certain degree, because, it's science, man. Like, God's gonna have to be guys to a certain degree.
All right, thank you, Masai, for the phone call. I see where Masai's coming from. I do think that in a relationship, I think the only constant in life is change. So I think you do have to be willing to change and willing to evolve. But the fella's not giving up that password, Russ. When you could put all the science and all the theory behind it, but at the end of the day, fellas ain't giving up the password. That's what it seems like.
I was telling one of my friends this the other day. I have a goal to be in a relationship and leave my phone out if it rains or if I get a text message alert and I'm in the shower. I want to be able to say, baby, can you see who that is? That's what I want, because I'm not hiding anything and I'm not up to anything. But I kind of go back and forth with this, being honestly, because I do see her point. Now, will I give my password up? That's something that I will have to be in a relationship for a very long time, like 3 to 4 years, where I know that she's just not going in my phone and snooping, because that's what it's not. That's not what it's about. And Spicy said that, but I feel like sometimes, like, say for instance, something happens to me, right? And I'm in a coma or I die or something. Like, there's probably some information, or I go missing and there's my phone. Like, maybe then it's probably cool to have the password. So, it's I just go back and forth, but I'm not giving my password up until I fully trust, and that's going to be a while.
Yeah, I would. I feel like, looking back on it, I would give the password up, but in a healthy relationship.
And we're talking about a healthy relationship. Yeah,
that's been going on for a while. So just wanted to get that phone call in and recap.
Thank you, Masai,
the
for
show
that
we had. Masai, bro, thank you for the well thought. And that's, man, our listeners, they give us well thought out calls. It's not like people are just calling in the show, just saying whatever. Like, people put thought into these calls. Like, you could tell that Masai, he really, has some thought and, has some introspection, behind that call. So we appreciate it.
Masai, congratulations to being with your girl for 8 years. That's an accomplishment in this time of day. That's an accomplishment. So I wish you guys, a bright future. So thank you for listening, and thanks for the support.
Dope. Thank you again, Masai, for the call. Russ, I'm super excited for our next guest. She's a writer. She's a director. She does a little bit of acting. She's a dancer. She's a choreographer. She does it all. She's a true Renaissance woman. So I am super excited to have Miss Carmen Corral joining us next on the show. And I can't wait to talk to her and hear what she's going to tell us about Hollywood.
Right? I mean, she's covering all bases. You go, girl.
Up next, Miss Carmen Corral. Our next guest is a first-generation Mexican-American actor, writer, director, dancer, and choreographer. She hails from the northwest side of Chicago, and after graduating from UCLA with a BA in acting, she starred in various television and film roles and is most well known for her recurring role on TNT's hit drama Southland. She created, wrote, and directed a web series called BFFs, in which she won an award for Best Directing at Miami's WebFest. She also wrote and directed Clave, an immigrant salsa dance film inspired by her experiences dancing in the LA salsa scene. And currently, she's a writer's assistant on ABC's hit comedy series Home Economics. And she is joining us right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm from New York to the Shy welcome to Miss Carmen Corral. Carmen, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you, Brian. Oh, that was so well done. I feel so special. I'm very good. Thank you so much.
I mean, you do it all, Carmen. I mean, you cover all the boxes.
Oh, God, it's such a hustle, you guys. I have to do it all.
Right.
I have to. But I love it. I love all the art forms. Yeah.
Great. Well, let's get right into it. First of all, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor, writer, and director in the television and film industry? When was that moment?
I was, God, that's a funny question. I was always really shy, and they would call on me in class to read out loud. And I noticed that in that moment, I wasn't shy. And so I kind of understood that I had a gift for presenting myself. And then, I'm a very emotional person. So I noticed that with acting, I could funnel all the crazy stuff I was feeling inside. I was like, oh, this is great. This is like therapy. At the same time, I was obsessed with The Sandlot. You guys remember The Sandlot with Benny the Jet Rodriguez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was obsessed with him. And then I decided that I heard that he was going to go to UCLA to study law. And I was so obsessed with him, I said, oh, I'm going to go to UCLA. And then I'll run into him, and then he'll fall in love with me. And then all makes sense in the world. And so that's what I did. I decided I was going to go to UCLA. But then it turned out that UCLA was the top acting program in the country by coincidence.
Wow.
So it kind of felt like divine intervention. Felt like God was like, yeah, you like this boy, but it's really about your dream and acting. And at the same time, I was doing an inner city youth program at Free Street here in Chicago. That was like amazing for inner city kids, and they taught us how to write. They taught us how to act. It blew my mind. It shaped me as an artist, and actually that's when I started writing. But I didn't realize I was a writer till way later. And then, directing just comes with writing, and it all kind of lends itself to. And at the same time, I actually was taking dance here in Chicago. I was doing ballet. It's kind of funny because my sister, I went to my sister crying at 11 and was like, I'm only smart. I have no talent. And so she put me in ballet, And so concurrently, I was also taking dance, and so that's kind of how it all started.
Right.
Wow.
Now
Yeah.
we see a lot of beautiful female actors on camera, but you don't actually hear about many women behind the scenes in the writer's room, directing behind the camera. So tell me a little bit about that transition from being in front of the camera as an actor to behind the scenes.
Yeah, I started writing, and I wanted someone to give me a shot, I think, with writing, and nobody was. And so, and I knew a lot of producers, but they knew me as an actress, and I noticed that they never took me seriously when I would pitch myself. I think they just saw me as a pretty actress. And then that's when I decided, I was like, oh, I have to bet on myself. And I had all these savings from these national commercials that I had done, and I said, okay, I'm going to make a movie, and I'm going to write it, and I'm going to direct it, and I'm going to produce it, and I'm going to prove to myself and to everyone that I am a creator and a writer. And that's what I did. And it was incredibly hard. It was incredibly expensive, and it wasn't perfect, but I'm proud of myself, and I showed people that I was this creator. So that was, and it's still a challenge, because a lot of people still see me as like this pretty actress, a lot of producers that I know. But now after I've gotten into several writing programs, they're taking me seriously, and they're reading me. They're reading my material, and I'm getting hired to do jobs with these same producers that, might have not seen me as a writer like several years ago.
Awesome. Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, I mean, we know about Sylvester Stallone, how he created Rocky because nobody was taking him seriously back in the day. So he pretty much, he had to be a jack of all trades, and you took a similar path. I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to do that as minorities, but we have to. That's the only way to break through, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
What technique did you use to help you memorize lines? Because I've dibbled and dabbled with acting, and I had an acting class like right before I moved down to Miami, and I had to do Othello. So I had to memorize these lines, and it's been so long since I had to memorize lines. I'm like, what? How can I do this in such a short period of time? So I'm just interested to see how you go about it when you was doing most of your work as an actor.
Oh, it felt easier when I was at UCLA because you do it so much. I don't think I was great at it. A lot of times I would default to improvisation, which is also good.
Right.
You're thinking on your feet. But I mean, I did it, and I do it still. I would say everyone is different because people are different kind of learners.
Right.
So I think for me it was just, I know what I would do. I read through the script several times as with the intentions that I want to say it in, but I don't memorize. And I read it several times until it starts to feel natural in my mouth. And then once it starts feeling natural, that's when I double down and I go line by line and I memorize it. But I never liked the process, and I think that's the main reason why I stopped acting.
Yeah.
I just don't like the idea that you have to be memorized and like, this is too much.
Right. So,
but I respect actors so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's tough work. Just to talk a little bit more about, I know you write and you direct, but just kind of like your technique that you learned at UCLA when it came to acting. What technique did you do? The Adler, the Meisner?
God, I don't remember exactly what we did. We dabbled in a lot of different things. Mainly we did scene study. We did scene study, and we did, I think we might have done some Meisner. Is that the one where you go, hey, how are you? How are you? Is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that one. But UCLA wasn't like NYU where they do very like specific concentration.
Okay.
We kind of dabbled in a lot of different disciplines. Yeah.
All right. So since we just we're still in it, but we're kind of coming out of this pandemic. There wasn't a lot going on as far as like Hollywood, you know, films being made, shows being made. So what did you do to occupy your time? Did you just start writing like crazy, Carmen?
I was, yeah. I said to myself, okay, if I'm not getting opportunities, I can't blame anyone but myself, because that's easy to blame your agents. And I'm like, nope. Do I need to up my game? I said my samples are going to be perfect. They're going to be as perfect as I can make them. And I wrote like a crazy lady. I think I wrote 3 pilots, and I made sure that they were beautiful and they were strong. And then because of that, and through the help of some friends that recommended me to the program, I got into NHMC, which is a very prestigious Latino writing program. And through that, I wrote another pilot. They helped us through. And from there, I got my writer's assistant job. So it was kind of like a domino effect of goodness, of like me saying, like, I can't blame anyone else for me not getting work. It's up to me. And kind of setting myself up for that high standard for writing.
Yeah. A lot of good things came out of the pandemic, you know. I mean, you had time to just kind of sit down and write and do your thing. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, oh my God, I feel like a mad scientist. I was just
Now, Carmen, you were born and raised on the northwest side of Chicago, and you went to college at UCLA before starting your acting career. Now, for those aspiring actors, writers, and directors, what is the best and worst thing about the television and film industry? And if you had like one piece of advice to give these young people to be successful, what would it be? So I guess that's a 2-part question.
But okay, best advice, always is don't be an asshole, because everyone remembers.
Yep.
Everyone talks about it, and that's the one thing that I've learned. Anytime you get into a program, it's because somebody loves you and pushed for you. And every time you didn't get a job, it's because someone spoke up and said, I worked with that person and they're an asshole. So be kind, because everyone remembers. And so that's my biggest advice. Another one is, it is who you know. Yeah. And I know it sounds cliche, but the longer I'm in this industry, it's who your friends are. Because they're gonna go to you for the job first. They're not gonna go read a bunch of scripts. They're gonna be like, oh, my friend, she's Mexican. Oh, she's a comedy writer. I'm just gonna hire her, because I don't feel like reading 50 scripts from these people that I never worked with. So it is like, meet people, be genuine, create relationships, and be humble and be flattering. Like, people like to be flattered. Right. Tell people how amazing they are. I respect your work. Get a mentor and flatter the crap out of them. Also because you do believe it. You're like, you're amazing. I respect your work. Can we get lunch? That is how you get almost all of your jobs in this industry.
I like that advice, Carmen. It's important, just being a stand-up person, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, as a woman of color working in Hollywood, what are some of the challenges and obstacles you faced? And what strategies have you had to implement in order to overcome them?
Oh, God. That's a very intense question, because I feel all of that.
We're putting you on the hot seat, Carmen.
Yeah. I think the biggest disconcerting thing that I've heard was, like, I see a lot of white males that are very successful, and then I've heard people say, oh, it's because they're so good at what they do. And that makes you think, oh, if I'm not getting opportunities because I'm not so good at what I do. And I look at the trajectory of their career and how much easier it was. Like, they literally did a short and an agent signed them. Like, that is the trajectory of their career. Versus I've done a short, a web series, you know, I've been hustling for all these years, you know, like, so at first I was like, you can't blame people. It's really up to you. It doesn't matter what color you are. It's not true. It is very biased. And if it's about who you know and the white people run the industry, then guess what? Most white people are friends with white people, and you're not going to be the first person they go to. So I see that, at first I was like, wow, white people must be so much smarter, but it's not that. And that's what you internalize. Oh, they must be just innately more talented than me. But that's not true. But what I feel so lucky is that I really have seen certain people in this industry trying to make it diverse. And the show that I'm on, woo, they are fucking trying at every fucking turn in every minority pocket. Like from the writer's PA to the writer's assistant to the writers of the room to the people they hired to do the parts, to the content that they're including on the shows. And these are mostly, white creators. And so I'm so grateful. I wouldn't have had an opportunity to be a writer's assistant had not one of the characters on the show been Mexican American. And they had that need for that voice because I'm Mexican American. So they were specifically like, we need a female Mexican American writer's assistant. When else was that opportunity going to be made just for me? But now, because of these showrunners, so I'm really seeing that love from this show, and it makes me very hopeful for the future.
Yeah, you see that with everything that's going on in the world today, and this push for more diversity. I think like a lot of Black and brown actors need to really take advantage of this time that we're seeing, because we're pretty hot right now. So everybody wants to incorporate us in these shows, from acting to writing to directing.
I feel sad about that word because hot feels very temporary.
Very temporary,
like
yes.
But I know what you mean. I wish it wasn't that we were hot. I wish that it was just normal and we're here now.
Exactly.
And I hope we stay and it's not a trend.
So, being in college, and I used to hate writing, Carmen. I used to wait to the last minute. Could you just give us some of your tips to kind of get you in that writing mode to where you can create, like some of the things that you do before you sit down and put that pen or start typing on that computer?
The first thing is to live, because all of writing is living. So go have adventures. If you haven't lived, then your writing is going to be boring as hell.
I love that.
So go live. And then my process is very different. I learned it from my inner city youth program in high school. When I was in high school, and they taught me how to do stream of consciousness writing and thinking. So what I do, I don't even touch the computer. I don't touch the computer till like a week later because it's too much pressure.
Yeah.
So what I do is I lay in bed or I lay on a mat or I walk. And then I just think about what am I trying to say, who's my character, what are the themes, I imagine what the pilot might look like. It's just stream of consciousness, like daydreaming. And then anytime I like something, I have a notebook. I have tons of notebooks, and I just write down things that I like. Oh, I like that. She's this, she's bulimic, or she has this weird tick, or her wound is that, her dad never came back and abandoned her, or the funny gags to this comedy thing, this joke that I could do 3 times in the pilot or whatever. And then once I feel very confident of like, this is what I'm trying to say with this piece, that's when I go into the computer and I start laying down some basic beats. Because whenever you're just staring at a blank screen on the computer, that's like death.
Yeah.
I can't handle that
Believe me,
pressure.
I've been there before. Do you find yourself wanting to talk to a lot of different people and experience different people to create your characters that you create?
Oh my God. Yes, it's kind of
because you said you were shy earlier, so.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I just wrote a love addiction, a pilot that deals with love addiction, and I went on a few dates with someone, and it was kind of triggering that love addiction inside of me, and he was such an interesting person that I was like, oh God, this is my main character. And so he inspired my main character, and he made me relive all these feelings of like love addiction that I hadn't felt in a while. And so yeah, because of him, I was able to write that pilot.
Wow. Wow.
I don't think he doesn't know. He doesn't know it though.
If it's too similar, he will know.
No, it's not too similar. I always
change it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, a lot actually.
Okay. What are some of your like directors or writers, actors that have inspired you, Carmen, throughout your journey?
Michaela Cole, I May Destroy You, Chewing Gum. She's a black African creator from England. I'm obsessed with her. She's like a revelation.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check her out.
I also really love Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Fleabag, and both of these women are writers, actors, directing, and show running their shows. The only difference is that I don't want to act in my shows anymore.
Right.
But I want to be like them, just not actually in my shows.
Right.
And then some directors that I like, I guess I like, there's a movie by Cary Fukunaga that I really like. Back, one of his first movies was called Sin Nombre. And then there's this indie film that I love called Desde Allá, the Venezuelan film. I have strange taste with like movies and stuff, but yeah, I would say those two women have really like shaped the direction that I want to go with my writing.
Okay, cool.
All right, Carmen, in the last 5 minutes that we have you here, what are some of the goals that you have, and what can we hope to see from Carmen Corral in the future?
Goals. I want to show run my own show. That's my long-term goal. I want to sell my show. I want to show run it. I want to be a showrunner. My short-term goal is I want to get staffed. I want to be staffed on a TV show for the first time. So I feel that both are very much on my horizon, you know, being that God gives me life and breath. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm excited to collaborate. I love collaborating with people, and yeah, that's what's to be in my future. And you know, obviously, any chance to also choreograph. I really like choreographing. It's a different way to direct. Yeah. So I see some choreographing in my future, perhaps, with some shows, and yeah, there's some things that are kind of maybe in the works with certain things.
Nice. I love when people lead me into my questions. That was a perfect segue, because my next question is you wrote and directed a film called Clave based on your experiences in the LA salsa scene. Now, is someone...
Sorry, I don't know what was happening just now. Go ahead.
You good? Okay.
Yeah.
So you wrote and directed a film called Clave based on your experiences in the LA salsa scene. Now, as someone who loves salsa dancing myself, just tell me a little bit of what the LA salsa scene is like. Like, kind of describe it, because I haven't seen the movie. So just give me a little bit of the lowdown on what the salsa scene in LA is like.
Well, it's heavily influenced by the immigrant community, because the LA style creators were all immigrants from like Mexico, El Salvador, Ecuador. So you know, there's that whole vibe. They also kind of brought in like that zoot suit history, you know, with their costumes and stuff. And so there's that built-in LA history. And then as far as like modern day, well, you know, I feel like salsa is kind of sad because people love salsa all over the world, but it is almost slightly fading just because the genre is not as strong as it was maybe in like the 90s or the 80s or the 70s. So I think in the 90s the scene was really strong, and it still is. I mean, like you go to clubs and they're packed. It's just a different. I felt like before it was like a burgeoning of this like genre of LA style salsa, and now it's just like we just dance it and we love it. And
right, I see what you're saying with that.
The vibe's different.
Yeah, it felt like a special time more back then, but it's still special for us because you know how sacred it is to dance, and and you know it's fun, it's social. They become kind of like your family.
Yeah.
But we dance really showy over there. We're always showing off. We're not like in Chicago. Everyone's very economical.
A lot of styling, a lot of
like
yeah. I love
a lot of showing off.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to get you out of here, but what we always do for our guests, we like to play a rapid fire game called 20 questions. So Russ,
I got it. I'm setting it up right now, baby.
Set it to 1 minute. Don't think about it. These are just rapid fire questions.
Okay, good.
And let me know when you're ready, Russ.
All right, we're giving you a countdown. 3, 2, you're on the clock.
What's the first thing you do or think about when you wake up?
Am I going to be successful? Can I get through this day?
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Pizza or wings?
Pizza.
Warm LA winters or summertime shy?
Summertime shy.
Yeah.
Name an item every actor should own.
Every actor?
Yes.
Oh God. I don't know.
Say something.
A therapist. A therapist.
That's a good
Prince
one.
or Michael Jackson?
What? Prince.
Venice Beach or North Avenue Beach?
North Avenue.
Salsa or bachata?
10 more seconds.
Salsa.
Directing or acting?
Directing.
If heaven exists, what would you want to hear God say when you walk through the pearly gates?
I told you I was there.
Time. I like it, Carmen. It's such a
Carmen
pleasure to
Corral,
have you.
everyone. Thank you so much, Miss Carmen Corral. Thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, you guys. Good luck with everything, and yeah.
Good luck with everything, too. Maybe one day we might cross paths because I'm an aspiring actor. So maybe one day our paths will cross.
Absolutely. If you ever see something that you think you'd be good for, and I'm the showrunner, just you have my information.
I definitely will, because like you said earlier, it's all in who you know, right? And now we know each other.
Exactly right.
Much success to you, Carmen. It was a pleasure.
See you guys too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Carmen Corral, for that interview. Thank you so much for the love and for joining the show. We appreciate it. I love that interview, Russ. Did you learn any more? Being a fellow thespian yourself, did you learn anything from that interview?
I think she made some really good points, especially about, ways to break into this industry. And a lot of times people miss it. It's just about being a good person, because
that's real.
This industry is small once you get to the top, right? Or once you climbing up, and you really have to treat people, everybody on the set, from the crew to the person that's making the bystanders stop, because we're in New York and Chicago, right, B? So how many times have we walked down the street and there's some person saying we can't walk right now because they're filming? Being nice to even those people, because you go up, you don't know who you're gonna see going back down.
Right. That's real. All right, Russ. If people want to support the show, what should they do?
You know what, B? They should just subscribe to the show. And while you're subscribing, just go ahead and subscribe on all the platforms. Just might as well just go ahead and just go to Apple, go to Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Just go ahead and subscribe for us, because we really appreciate that.
And while you're subscribing, how about you share all of this knowledge, all of this goodness, all of this love? Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you like this show, I bet you someone else would like it as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only way the show will grow, is if you guys are sharing the show. And we appreciate you guys for listening. But also, please tell a friend to tell a friend about the show. Let them know that we got a dope podcast going on. And we thank you guys for listening, for sharing and subscribing, and for just joining us. You know what I'm saying? We do this podcast. Me and Russ do it, but it's nothing without the listeners. It's nothing without you guys who tune in and give us the comments and the feedback. So you guys are a part of the show. It's nothing without the people calling in. We love you guys and we appreciate it so much. So Russ, if people want to follow you on Instagram, where can they find you?
You can find me at Rustin_Steward. Pretty much you put in Rustin_ and I pop up. So taking a little break from Instagram. It's been getting a little bit too much, but if you go to my page, you can definitely find some workout tips and some positive quotes. So I love to get you following me, and I'll follow you back.
Dope. And you can find me at B More for Photography. That's BEMOORE, the number 4 photography. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been the From New York to the Shy podcast. As we always say, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Hey. Living life and grinding every day. That's the way I play. Never mind what the haters say. Chasing paper today. Living life and grinding every day. That's the way I play. Never mind